¿Qué pasó, mi gente? It's MarkTip25 otra vez. I just already did a video on the Mavericks problems. Now I'm going to talk about my Cowboys. Yeah, how it comes to that, huh? Man, I know it's already past like the first, round of the playoffs, but might as well talk about my Cowboys while it's still fresh. Yeah, it's just been a horrible season. I mean, what can you say? They started off really nicely, but then they were, easily outed after they lost to the Jets. And as soon as they lost to the Jets, I knew it was going downhill from there. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Like, the biggest issues were obviously the coaching staff. Like, Garrett, he's just not a competent coach. And I've said for many years to people that he was never a competent coach. He wasn't even a good offensive coordinator. And he wasn't even that good of a quarterback. Like, I don't know what anybody saw in the guy, but he just wasn't good. He was never good. We could have gone for any other fucking coach, yet we decide Jason Garrett. I knew it was a mistake the first time they hired him. And then just a string of also bad hirings for coaches. Marinelli and then Kellen Moore as QB coach as of late. It's just they have no balls. I'm sorry, there's no sense of responsibility with these coaches. But yet again, that starts from the top. And I had people arguing with me on Twitter about Stephen Jones and Jerry Jones and it's Steven now that's really running things, and he's been making some good trades and drafting well. It's like, okay, fine. He had some decent moves. But the fact that they still kept the coaching staff on is still their fault, ultimately. The fact that they have all this talent and still can't get anywhere with it is still the fucking owners and the GM. They have to do something else. And granted, yes, they finally made a change, but it's years too late. Jason Garrett was not a good coach. Just because he had some winning seasons does not mean it was all due to him. And it was evident that it was due to the talent he had. His schemes were easy to dismantle. Super easy. Like, they ran the stupidest plays. And, they didn't let their teams thrive well. Like, another issue that they're having, and as much as I like Dak, he's been having issues. Granted, the stats will dictate otherwise. He has a great QBR. He's thrown for more yards than he has in his entire career. I get it. And that is great. But he is still not accurate with his throwing. He needs to be better. And granted, yeah, it was partially because of the coaching putting him as a pocket passer. That's not his strength. He needs to be able to be mobile. Because that's what he did when he started. He had a lot of rushing yards in his first few seasons. He needs to be a mobile quarterback. He has to be able to run. And Rodgers runs, and that's what I'm going to like about Mike McCarthy. Because I think under Mike McCarthy, he'll at least improve. Or at least I hope so. Because if Dak does not improve from here on out, like, again, this next year, I think for me, is my last year of giving him a chance. Because if he does not improve this next season, I don't foresee them going anywhere with Dak. And that sucks. Because I do like him. But also, he needs to not ask for that big of a goddamn contract. He needs to understand, until the results match it, then he can get that contract. Zeke deserved that contract. He did, because he put his work in. Granted, this season he struggled. But in the games that he didn't, he was amazing. So I don't have any doubts about Zeke Elliott. He's the only one, really, in my opinion, that has given this team any chance of success. Another thing, and I know how much you all like Jason Witten, but why? Why? Give Jarwin a chance. Give him more time. I really felt we had more playable drives when we had Jarwin out there. Jason Witten has just not been he's old, obviously. He should have stayed retired. Granted, yeah, oh, well, if it wasn't for Jason Witten, we wouldn't have had half the touchdowns. He probably had an even worse record. Granted, yes, I get that he still has, an old reliable catch, but he doesn't move after the fact. He's too old. He doesn't get you much yardage after the catch. He doesn't. We need something different. And then that's another thing. Receivers, they're dropping all their passes. Partially because of Dak's, just he has no freaking accuracy, man. He's not as accurate as he needs to be in the deep passes. If he was more accurate, I bet you some of those passes would not have been dropped. But in Dak's defense, there are some passes that were catchable, and they still dropped them. So Amari Cooper and Gallup and Cobb all need to be a little bit better in catching the ball. I'm not saying that they're crap, but the fact that they were dropping passes is not acceptable either. If they can at least improve on that side, then I bet you they have way more of a chance to win. And hopefully Mike McCarthy gives them better, instruction, especially since Randall Cobb has worked with McCarthy before. I think it's going to really benefit Dak and that team with Mike McCarthy at the helm. But my only hope is that the Joneses don't stick their finger in this again. Let him coach. He's proven. He helped lead Aaron Rodgers to a Super Bowl. Let him try and have a chance to lead this team. That's another thing. If the coaches, if Mike McCarthy can instill a more gritty type of play in these players, then I think this team will go far. But just the problems this season and the past few seasons have just been a lack of consistency, a lack of accuracy, and mainly a lack of discipline. Because on the offensive and defensive side of the line, all these players that just keep jumping off sides at the most crucial of moments. That has to stop. Watch the damn ball. And these coaches need to get on their ass. And I bet you all of you fans in the comment section, you're like, they do. What do you think they're paid for? Blah, blah. No, but see, I don't think that's entirely accurate, man. Because of the fact that they're so highly paid, I feel if you even, freaking do what you did back in the old days, they'll freaking cry and freaking get pissed off and want to trade and shit. And that cannot happen. These players need to understand this is a tough game and they have to straighten up and they have to be disciplined. And especially people in the safety. The safeties, I don't know what it is about them, corners and safeties. They do not turn around. They're always, this is them and this is the other player. The player is looking back for the catch and this is them. Boom, they're just running into them. That's not defense, guys. Turn around, look where the player is looking and turn around to try to either bat it down or get an interception. Something, give yourself a chance. But you all wait for them to catch the ball and then you tackle them. And even then, sometimes you don't even tackle well. That's another problem on this team. The defense does not wrap up. They don't wrap up. They just hit them expecting that their brute strength is going to fucking hit them out. No, it's not. They are just as strong as you. That one hit is not going to knock them down. You have to grab them. You have to get them down. And that's just been a huge issue for this defense the past few years. Have they improved a bit? A little bit. But even then, those same problems are still apparent. And that has to change. That has to move on. You got to stop letting this happen. And once again, they need a safeties coach or some sort of defensive coordinator that can instill some sort of discipline that, hey, run the route with them. Look at where they're looking. Turn around. Don't just freaking stand. Don't just freaking look with your head backwards. And because, see, there are times like they do that. And yeah, once in a while they'll underthrow and it hits them. And then they celebrate like it wasn't even, you were not the reason that play did not happen. It was just underthrown. And you should not take credit for that. Okay? And then when they overthrow him, también. Stop. And that's another thing. Why does this team, and granted, it's not just this team, every other team does this. Why do they celebrate after like a second down play where they make a stop? Quit celebrating. Fucking get back to the line. You can celebrate when the game is over or when you have well enough of a lead. Don't fucking celebrate if you're down. You are down. And that happens so many times. And I've seen it. It's ridiculous. Stop celebrating when you're down a healthy margin. Stop. You haven't done anything that warrants a celebration. Ooh, one stop. Ooh, stop celebrating. Just fucking play. And granted, I'm going to get more angry comments. Who are you to say that they should just play, blah, blah, blah. Well, okay, how am I wrong there? If they would stop celebrating so much and be more disciplined on the defense, I bet you they'd win a hell of a lot more games. But they're not. They're not disciplined at all. I don't understand why this keeps persisting. And I hope to God that Mike McCarthy changes that culture. Because otherwise, I do not see this team going anywhere in the next 10 to 15 years. Something has to change. Something has to change. But my hope is that they improve. I like this team. I want to continue to cheer for this team. It's not like I'm ever going to give up on them. But you cannot sit here as fans and tell me that I'm just a hater and I'm overly critical when they are just proving my points right. They need to do better. They need to stop slacking off, stop being undisciplined, and, get their shit together. And yet again, it starts from the top down. And Jerry Jones needs to let Mike McCarthy be. Also, Stephen Jones, let Mike McCarthy be. And yet again, I'm going to get arguments about, well, Stephen Jones is letting things happen. Stephen Jones. Well, until it ends up being wins, then I will fucking let it be. But it didn't lead to anything positive this year. So don't give me your shit. Until it leads to something actually positive, then I will give credit where it's due. But as of right now, and it's saddening because they started off really well, and then yet again, they disappointed again. And even if they had made the playoffs, it still would have just been a one and done. So next year, I hope to God that they make these improvements, because otherwise, it's over. There's no helping this team. But anyhow, let me know what you think in the comments section. Suscríbete a mi canal y hasta el próximo, mi gente. Adiós.